Welcome to Beyond Wealth, Success Unscripted with Matt Calnan. Discover the personal drive, professional journeys, and business strategies that have made a real impact. It's success from the inside out.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we're chatting with Shauna Gruninger. Shauna is one of the top performing real estate agents in Lethbridge and has now grown out a team of 3 agents to best serve her clients. Shauna, do you mind starting out by maybe telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, I'd love to. So basically, we are a team of women, and not that we don't love everyone, but that's just kind of how we've collaborated and grown our successful team. I am a mother of 3, and 2 are adult children, and 1 looks like an adult. And I have lived in Lethbridge my whole life. Real estate has always been a really big thing on my bucket list. So when I became a realtor 7 years ago, it was really exciting for me, other than everything I did before of running companies. And I did work for a new home builder as well. So it seemed like the right fit for me. My team, which we have Tiffany Orield and Jackie Kosh, they are also moms and wives, and they have done a whole bunch of different other industries and have a ton of experience. And us all combined together, I think we have a really good idea of, what somebody needs. And we really focus on educating buyers. We really focus on educating sellers, and we give clear data, instructions, and we kind of help everybody through the process. So, I like that. So that's what we give out. And our team has been really successful doing that.
Oh, that's good. You mentioned having a team of all women. Was that something that was consciously done for a reason, or how did that happen?
No, I have 3 brothers, and I have tons of friends that are men, and it totally organically happened that way. But we joke a lot. I mean, of course, we have our photographer. We have different people that are part of our group. Just the 3 agents are women. Of course, my husband does a lot of work as well for our team. So as agents, we're only women. But as a team, I guess the whole team, we're a whole bunch of everybody, but just agents are the women.
Yeah. And your husband's on the property inspection side, is that right?
My husband does do property inspection. Of course, our background and my background is construction. So,
Right.
When we I came from kitchens and bathrooms and new homes. So I had a lot of experience with that. And then my husband had a construction company, and he's seen a lot of things that were happening when he go in on a construction side and became a home inspector because he thought he could help people. And he was actually a home inspector before I was a realtor.
So did you follow in the footsteps, or was he just going into the dream that you also had?
I always wanted to be a realtor. I actually looked at being a realtor in my early 20s, and my kids were super young. So I just didn't feel like it was the right time to make the jump. But of course, when I did make it, it was the right time. So it's always been sitting there hanging out, and I eventually decided to get that done. So.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of real estate agents, and you operate out of Lethbridge here, so a lot per capita in Lethbridge as well. What do you think one or a couple of the traits that help make somebody successful in the industry versus, and I don't know the stat on it, but 70 or 80 or 90% of people that don't end up in this profession long term?
I mean, it's just like any business. Whether you're a realtor or you're running some business that you're passionate about, I think business is hard. I think that, sometimes people might think that, we kind of get to do what we want, which is, maybe we can kind of fill in some time differently to make it work. But really, I start at 8, 9 in the morning, and I go till 8, 9 at night, and sometimes even longer. And usually I'm in trouble by my husband because I don't take time off. And, it's the balance part of being a real estate agent can be tough, right? Boundaries and just really working hard on making sure everything makes sense. But business is hard, and whatever industry you're in, I think, you just got to really do everything that you can, learn from other people, ask questions, just try to be part of other business owners that know some things, and you know, don't reinvent anything. Just kind of learn from other people and just keep going.
Yeah. How many times a day do you charge your cell phone?
You know
It's
what?
not once.
No, I don't need to charge myself only one time in the morning, and it's good. But I did get the newest 14 Apple.
Yeah.
I'm an Apple person, and
Yeah.
it's been fine. So by the end of the night, it's done. But so am I. So
yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Well, that's good that it makes it through the day for you.
it does.
So what do you see? And we're in Q2 of 2024 right now. What do you see on the horizon in terms of maybe the kind of the Southern Alberta real estate industry, and then maybe more on a macro level across the country?
Well, it's quite interesting. You know, I always kind of labeled Lethbridge as slow and steady, right? Everything was pretty good and it was going, and nothing like this a lot, like some of the bigger, you know, provinces like Ontario and Vancouver, different cities like that. Lethbridge has always kind of been, you know, slow and steady. It jumped pretty good. I think, you know, my opinion, of course, is a lot of people are migrating to Alberta because of some of the great things that Alberta is offering. I've had great discussions with some great professionals in Calgary and Edmonton and surrounding areas just about how great their market is. I think the quality of life here is great, but then also compared to what people are paying in Ontario, Toronto, Vancouver, different places like that, is quite a bit higher than what it's like here. Now, I know Calgary is here and we're here, but you know, still compared to some of those bigger cities and Toronto and stuff, I think it's quite different. So I think people are starting to realize the quality of life they can have here. We've helped a ton of people migrate over here as well. And that's really the story we get from them is, you know, we just sold our XYZ for 1, 2, 3, and now we have no mortgage here. So it's a great opportunity for other people, and it's really helped Lethbridge. You know, that slow and steady part that I was saying is kind of up here now. And
I got accelerated a little bit. Yeah.
It's accelerated. Yeah. And I mean, so for sellers and people that have owned in Lethbridge for a long time have seen their property value increase, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And the people that you say you're helping come in mostly from that BC and Ontario markets, right? They're coming into the area.
Yeah, mostly. We've, you know, there's a few other ones here and there, but you know, there's mostly, I would say. Yeah. And sometimes what we're noticing is people that the properties aren't working for them anymore. So if the property is too small or too big, then we can help on that too. I mean, owning a home, I mean, what other better investment could you have?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, in my opinion, having your home and owning it and knowing that it's yours and you know, it's everything that, you know, you're working hard for, and you can make it what you want. I feel like there's a lot of value that goes beyond money.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of leads into, like, we'll call it the Canadian dream, but the American dream leads into that, right? A lot of that dream is based around ownership and home ownership and land ownership and whatnot. So yeah, no, I think you're spot on with that. And right before we started filming, I told you I wouldn't ask you any stats, but I lied a little bit on accident about that. But just so everybody has a reference, what's roughly the price of like a detached home in Lethbridge right now?
Well, I happen to think that maybe you would ask me that, so I have it on my. I always come prepared, Matt. So our March 2024 detached average price home is at just under 427,000.
Yeah. So that's significantly higher than it was probably a couple of years ago, but still way lower than what you'd see in other markets.
You know what? I know when we had a forecast in Calgary, to remember, I believe it said something along the detached home price at that time, and I think it might have been January, early February, was 680,000.
Yeah.
So you know, everything is quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, quite a bit more, and it always changes. Like, this is March, March, depending on what happens in March, that will determine what those numbers look like. If we were to go over the whole year, it obviously would be a little bit different, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So you would work with like first-time home buyers, people that are, getting into a larger home, some investors in there as well. If we just looked at it from an investor standpoint, obviously right now there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, whether it's interest rates, everybody knows the factors. There's just the market uncertainties that are out there. Why is it a good time for investors to either get into the market or stay in the markets right now?
I think, again, going back to everybody deserves a home, and if they can, work towards owning one, that's a great opportunity. We're part of the how process, so we help people get into that and what they can do to get there. The uncertainty of interest rates. I mean, yes, I get it. It's not the 2.5% like it was a couple of years ago, and those were great. I mean, I enjoyed it as well. But realistically, I mean, there is a cost and everything is relevant. But I think overall, there's still a lot of ways to do things. And, the uncertainty part, well, I just like to live in a world of figuring out solutions for all of that. And depending on somebody's, position and their job and what they do and how they save money. And there's, I think, a lot of great opportunities for anybody and everybody out there. I think that, we hypothetically hear that interest rates are supposed to kind of, come down a little bit. We've probably all heard that. But until they do, it is what it is. And I know a lot of great mortgage brokers that will, work with their client on coming up with ways to maximize all of that as well. So there's just so many ways to make it work today. Yeah.
One of the things I've heard and other people focus on, and I've focused on myself a little bit too, is understanding that the cash flow is going to be tight if there is any cash flow right now, right? But at some point something's going to break, where the rents are going up or the interest rates will come down or whatnot. So I think for a lot of people, as long as you can get into a position where you're still making a return with debt pay down and appreciation, you're probably doing pretty well. Just at least for now, the times are gone where you can put $20,000 down on a property and make $20,000 on it that year, right?
Right. Well, right. I mean, there's, that probably is
in cash return, I'll say, in cash return.
Cash flow, right. And I think, I'm an investor as well. I have multiple properties and, I've now created a home for other people to be at. But you can ask every one of my tenants. As soon as they're ready to buy a home, I'm high-fiving them and I'm like, all right, like that is what I want them to do. So again, at the end of the day, somebody needs a place to live no matter what. Yes, investors need to make whatever money and whatever business plan they have that they decide on. My business plan might be a little bit different than others, but I'm quite happy with my portfolio and what it's doing. And so again, it just depends on what that looks like. My job is helping people buy and sell homes, and that's what I focus on. And the homes that I own is for a place for other people to live, and it does pay, the mortgage and the principal and all of those things. But I look at it in the big picture more than anything, me personally.
No, it's great. So when did you start building out the team? Like I assume when you got into real estate, you started on your own. And when did that build out happen?
That's a great question, Matt. Getting a little personal here. So, it's funny because I ran companies for 20 years before I became a realtor, whether it was a general manager, operations manager, sales manager, it was always managing, and I had a big team or a small team. And I actually became a realtor to just work for myself. Just be one. And I quickly learned that is not what I'm made for. I am built to be part of a team. I want to be part of a team. And when I first started, I just had so much going on that there was no way that I could properly service my clients without having a team. So thankfully, I had a lot of experience from, everything I had done in the past, and I've built a team, and some have come and go, but two have been with me for a really long time. And Jackie really from very close to almost day one. And so it's been great. And I think we're really happy where we're at right now. There's enough of us to do what we need to do. And I have a couple different agents that if we do get too busy, us three, then I have a couple other agents that can help us out if we need to. So I think we have a very good plan. But that I did become a realtor to only take care of one person, which did not happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how life ebbs and flows that way, right? You go into something for a very specific reason, and in some cases to try to get away from maybe the people aspect of it. And then turns out that you can't get away from that.
I just didn't want to be accountable and responsible for other people, but
Yeah.
I actually think I love it. I love building a team. I love doing it. And now being where I'm at this many years later, I don't regret one part of it. And, you know, again, what we accomplish is what's so satisfying because of the fact that we help people every day. And, you know, if you read my profile, if you go onto Facebook, if you do any of the stuff and research on what we do, we really educate and try to help people, you know, accomplish whatever real estate goals they're working on. Whether it's today or far, far away, it doesn't matter. We're there to help them on what they need at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys probably do more educational advertising in the area than anybody else, I think, in terms of real estate education there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We do spend a lot of time. It doesn't cost anything to get information from us. It doesn't cost anything to have a conversation with us. And I think it's just a really good way of, you know, when I am actually competing for a listing or somebody else is looking at 2 or 3 realtors, I actually think that's a great idea. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's called capitalism. That's good. So,
well, I think everybody needs to know what's going on, and they need to get different people's perspectives and opinions. So,
for sure.
You know, a home is like the biggest price tag of what somebody most likely will own. So,
yeah. So you, like you said, you have the 2 agents on the team now. What is it like? What traits are you looking for when you're bringing on an agent onto the team?
Well, stumping me. Okay. So I think personality is a big one. I think being able to be real and just, you know, have a good conversation just about anything and everything. I think that's the first one for me. I mean, what's on somebody's resume of what they did before is, I think, a big piece of that. But I think, you know, showing commitment, showing that they can show up, showing that they do what they say they're going to. That's a big thing for us. You know, if we have different partners in with us, you know, I always say, you do what you say and you say what you do. If you make a mistake, you apologize and you work through it. But we're very, and mistakes happen, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you just really want to make sure that, you know, it's the right fit. And if it's not, that's okay too. That's okay too. Because you try something and then you realize it's not, you move on.
Yeah, for sure. And learn from it. And
you learn. And that's how you get better, right? Mistakes are just a way of learning how to make something better the next time.
Yeah. So anything on the horizon for you or your team in terms of a goal or a big project that you guys are working towards, or what's happening in 2024?
Well, we're excited for another year of great real estate. We're anticipating things to stay very strong in Alberta, and especially Southern Alberta. I mean, again, I'm sure, you know, you've heard, but the supply is very low, and it's at an all-time low compared to, you know, a lot of years. So that's probably a little bit of a, you know, if somebody is looking for a home, different people that are migrating to Alberta, you know, trying to keep up with that. I know the builders in Lethbridge, you know, are permits being pulled for new homes are lower. So I know that there's some things that are trying to kind of work themselves out there. I mean, I'm not in that. I just try to stay on top of that. But the supply seems to be probably the biggest issue right now. And then, of course, you know, being a $430,000 average price for detached homes, that's kind of your top zone and under right now. So usually if you have a home in that price point, you're not going to be for sale very long, technically.
Yeah. As long as it's priced appropriately within there, you can probably get out flip it out pretty quickly now, right?
Yeah, I sold the house, one of my houses that I've owned for 15 years. And it just, that slow and steady, nothing. And finally in 2022, I was like, okay, it's time to sell. It was never supposed to be a rental. It just turned into one because it wasn't the right time to sell at the time. And if I would have kept it 2 more years.
Hindsight is 20/20 always, right?
How it goes, right? Just go with it.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that, the living in Lethbridge, living surrounded by Lethbridge, you're in a good position. The quality of life is really great, and the home prices are still pretty good.
Yeah. Is there anything from like a book or a podcast that you'd recommend anybody following, and whether that's they want to get into real estate or they want to understand more about business or life, or anything that's kind of been impactful or influential in your life?
I don't know. I've done a lot of different coaching. I've kind of done a little bit here and there and stuff. I like to take what I need and grab it and go. That's kind of how my brain works. But if somebody's in a real estate wanting to become a real estate agent, I would highly recommend that they ask to go for coffee or go and meet another realtor and just kind of have a good conversation with them. I know I've offered before to anybody that's looking at it, and it might be a little intimidating for them to do that, but I think that's a good first step, just to kind of say, hey, how's the industry? What did you like? What did you do? What don't you like? Podcasts, I listen to everything that's not real estate, actually, because that's what I do all day. And so I guess some business ones that I listen to are just all random based on, the main books. I'd probably have to get you a list of what that is, because I just read 2 or 3 chapters and then move to the next one. So
you think finishing a book, that doesn't drive you crazy to do that?
No, I always finish the book,
Wow.
but I want to like read this one and get what I need out of that. And then
so you can jump all over.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm smart enough to do that. I think I've got to be like A to Z.
I don't know if that's me being smart enough to do it. Yeah.
Well, I think it's being smart. Take the compliment on it.
If the book isn't good, I don't read it either. So it's, I don't finish it if I don't like it. But I mean, there's a few that I just can't tell you off the top of my head right now because I wasn't prepared with that question.
Yeah, because I didn't give it to you beforehand, like I said I would.
I would have. I just listened to a podcast this morning, but it was actually about nutrition. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, you know what? There's a big shift in nutrition podcasts right now. I saw the stats on that the other day. They're up and coming for sure. So that's good.
Yes.
So if anybody wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what you did or connect with you, where would they be able to find you?
Probably the best place would be to go to our website at homesyql.ca. It has a lot about us. It has some reviews about what we do, what other clients are saying, how we did. So that kind of gives them a good idea. It talks about, our services. And then of course it has our contact information. So sending an email or calling or texting is good. Just kind of going from there, but it's pretty easy to get a hold of us if you wanted to.
Perfect. Sounds good. And we'll put the URL in the show notes here as well, so everybody has that. Well, Shauna, I want to thank you for taking the time to sit with us for the last 25 minutes here. And hopefully everything's good for you and the team in 2024. And we'll look forward to chatting again. Yes,
everything is wonderful. Thank you for this opportunity. And it was great speaking with you as well, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, Shauna. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Beyond Wealth, Success Unscripted with Matt Calnan. Want to be our next guest? Visit beyondwealthpodcast.ca/guest. See you on the next episode.